a guiding principle, possibly the most, it's one of the two principles I found in my life that have made the biggest difference in terms of developing greater resilience. And that's understanding the power of our thoughts and words. Let me tell you a couple quick stories. A friend of a friend told a group of people the story where he was, when he was in Little League, he was like one of those Charlie Brown kind of athletes, and he was on a team of Charlie Browns. So it was, there were 0 wins all season. Well, the end of the season, they happened to play the best team in the league. Now, it's the bottom of the 9th or whatever the equivalent is in Little League, and there's 2 out and there's 2 boys on base, 0-0. He has a chance of either, Charlie Brown world, a GOAT, or the hero. Here's the problem. This friend of a friend is Jim. Jim's a horrible batter. Talk about the pressures being on. So he's starting to freeze up, and his coach calls him over, and he says, Jim, I want you to bunt down the third base line. And Jim's kind of like, deer in the headlights. Coach is, Jim, bunt down the third base line. Finally, it sinks in. Jim's like, all right, coach. So he gets up to the bat, and he's like programming himself, bunt down the third base line, bunt down the third base line. Pitcher winds up and throws. Jim, just like pre-programmed, bunts right down the third base line. And then Jim starts to run down the third base line. It's funny because he said, you think the third baseman was surprised? You should have seen the pitcher when I'm running from third to first. And I love that story because it's such a perfect metaphor for what Earl Nightingale spoke about years ago. We become what we think about. We become what we think about. And so I want to ask you to think about, what do you think about? If we're constantly focusing on what's wrong with us, that expands. If we focus on our strengths and our talents, that expands. If we're facing a challenge and we're focusing on all the things that we're not able to do about it, that are outside of our control, that becomes bigger. If we focus on the things we can, you get the picture. We become what we think about.